Oh, hey, everybody. You're watching Rebel Roundup. It's Rebel News' daily news and opinion show where you'll get our hot takes and our honest opinions on the comings and goings of Canadian politics, but also the world in general. I'm your host, Sheila Gunn, and I'm joined by my friend, my colleague, my co-host today, Tamara Ugolini. Tamara, how's it going?
Well, it certainly is going. No, there's no shortage
Yeah.
of happenings around here, and it's just, trying to designate what's priority, what takes precedence. It has been a crazy week, and of course, we'll get into some of that with you. But before we do so, how are you doing over there, Sheila?
We're in like a evil cold snap. Like it's not just cold, it's like constantly snowing and there's no end in sight. So, I found it entertaining to see like 5 days ago all the climate worry warts online saying, "Oh my God, there's no snow on the prairies." And it's like I've lived literally in this exact same spot my entire life, and that's just our fake spring that happens like the end
Yes.
of January, early February, all the time, every single year. It's almost like forest fires. It continues to happen over and over again. But we'll get out of it. We weather these things the way we always do. I understand that Toronto had quite a dump of snow the other day too.
Well, actually, we were supposed to, but it was, I don't know, maybe about half of what was being called for. But here in Ontario, obviously, well, southeastern Ontario at least, we are less prepared than some of the northern regions, and of course, you guys up in Alberta to deal with the threat, the magnitude of snow that's called here more rurally. It's like, yeah, okay, it's par
Right.
for the course. But inner city like Toronto, they just become completely debilitated when there's even a foot of snow because there's
Yeah.
nowhere to put it.
Yeah, nowhere to put it. Nobody has the proper tires. Anyways, I'm a farmer. I could talk about the weather all day long, but this is a
Yes.
news show. So I'll tell everybody what we're doing here and how they can get involved in the show. So if you're watching us on Rumble, that's a great free speech platform. We love Rumble. They let us and you speak your mind. If you want to support the work that we do over there, you can leave a Rumble rant. That's their paid chat. If it's over the $5 US cutoff, we'll get to it. If it's under that, we thank you, but we'll get to it time permitting. And I know Tamara has a hard out because she's watching a tribunal hearing that comes back online at 2 o'clock her time. So we might even have to stop a couple minutes early. If you're watching us on YouTube, same rules apply. Their paid chat is called Super Chat. And if you miss the live version of the show, but you love us and you want to support us because you know we won't take any money from the government, you can leave us a paid comment called a Super Thanks. So those are the rules. Let's get into the show. I want to talk about Matt Jeneroux. Matt Jeneroux is a liar and a Judas and a betrayer, and he's the now Liberal MP for the Edmonton riding of Riverbend, which has voted Conservative since its creation. Okay, so they've always sent a strong message to Ottawa that that's a Conservative riding. Apparently, the message did not get through to Matt Jeneroux. Now, back in November, he said that it was leaked out of the Conservatives in hopes, from what I understand, that a pressure campaign would force him to realize that being wobbly on this would absolutely ruin his career eh, prospects for, I think, at least the near future, but possibly forever. So in November, there were rumblings that he was going to switch to the Liberals, apropos of nothing. And there's a little thing in the background of all of this. He no longer lives in the riding that he represents. He no longer lives in the province that he represents. He lives out of the country with his family. From what I understand, he's there for his wife's job. Fine and dandy. Everybody makes family choices. So maybe you should have resigned your seat and let a by-election happen, but that's not what he did. So in November, he got wobbled, backed off, promised his colleagues and everybody else, I'm not switching. What I'm going to do is the appropriate thing and resign. But he didn't resign. He continued to draw his parliamentary salary in excess of $50,000, I think $56,000. Hasn't been in the riding or in Ottawa voting since then. So 50 plus $1,000 doing nothing. He said he would donate his salary. I'd love to see them receipts. I'll tell you that much. Because why are we paying him at all? If you want to donate to a charity, that's fine, but don't make me pay you so that you can do it, right? That seems kind of sleazy. That's an extra layer of sleaze. And then yesterday, after it was announced that he was going to cross the floor, God, I want to stress this because I think it's noticeable. He went from looking a normal dude to no, we haven't seen him in 4 months, and he looks like Matt Gaetz now. Look at those eyebrows. So he flies back into Edmonton, doesn't leave the airport, holds a press conference in the airport, and then flies directly back out. No accountability, no dealing with the constituents, and we'll get to that in a second. But he said that the reason that he decided all of a sudden, after saying, I need to spend more time with family, well, he's had all the family he can handle, and now he needs a little more Mark Carney, is that Carney's speech in Davos highlighted a national unity crisis that he's come back to, I guess, fight. I guess he's here to fight the separatists. You know what happened yesterday? A bunch of little baby reluctant separatists were born, and they're filling up all the maternity wards of the independence movement because this stuff proves to Albertans who were, should I vote? Should I not vote? It proves to them that nothing you do makes your vote matter. Even if you vote conservative, they'll just switch to the liberals on you. And your vote matters even less. And it doesn't matter the message you're trying to send for 10 years to Ottawa, because that's how long Matt Jeneroux has been the MP there, that no one's listening and no one cares. And so I've got big plans for him. Overnight, in less than 24 hours, you guys signed my petition. 12,000 of you calling on Matt Jeneroux to do the right thing and fire himself. But I don't think he's a man who does the right thing. But I've got more in store for him. And what are we at now? Yeah, over 12,000. 12,000, almost 13,000 signatures.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've got more in store for him. I think we're going to rough him up politically a little bit. I want him to not be able to show his face in polite company for a very long time.
Yeah, and to expect him to fire himself would mean that he had an ounce of integrity, which is very clear when you cross the floor after 10 years of a stronghold on this riding. That is such a betrayal to the constituents that put their faith in you to adequately and appropriately represent them. And yeah, once again, it shows that your vote doesn't really mean anything, because at the end of the day, these pawns in this massive political chess game can pull all the strings and leave you with no accountability. I think the first clip that we have to share is a reported video from outside of his Riverbend office today, and this was yesterday, but you can hear the phones just a ringing, and as Cosmin Deserta puts, his office is a ghost town.
Yeah. Course. Abandoned
By
and
appointment.
yeah, by appointment only. Abandoned and neglected, just like the riding of Riverbend by this
Betrayed.
jerk. Yeah, completely. And if he thinks he can hide in BC, think
Where it's
again,
alleged
Matt.
that he lives.
I think it's pretty well confirmed that that's where he lives. I don't want to get into details, but I know his wife works there. And if he thinks he can hide there from Rebel News, come on. Come on, Matt. You know what? I've got more ire and more bile for guys like this than the liberals, because as corrupt and I was going to say evil, but some of them are more stupid than evil, but you know what I mean. As the liberals are, they're giving you exactly what they say they will. I don't think that what they say they're going to do is what the country needs. But you know what you're getting with the likes of Mark Carney. He wrote a manifesto called Values. You know what you're getting with Lena Diab-Metlich. You know what you're getting with the Liberal MPs. They're pretty upfront about what they plan to do to you. Mark Miller, he's going to censor your Bible. It's guys like this that just, months ago, well, more than that for him because he hasn't shown up for work in months, but a year ago, standing up in the House of Commons saying the Liberals are too cozy with the IRGC, standing up saying he's going to fight for the oil and gas sector, and then switches to the guys who are actively undermining everything and saying, oh, it was Carney's Davos speech. The Davos speech that, took a sideways swipe at Donald Trump and then resulted in more trade fallout. That was your inspiration to come back to work? Absolutely not. What did they give you, Matt? What did they give you for you to sell your soul like this?
Well, and I wonder, can we just queue up a clip of that Davos speech? Because I think that that was just pretty much an entirely
terrible.
AI generated nonsense script that was so passive aggressively throwing punches at President Donald Trump, where, Trump then the next day was like, if you want to call someone out by name, Mark, you can just do
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Like this, it's classic, what's the word I'm looking for? Just inability to assertively and confidently say what you mean and mean what you say. It's like
Yeah.
skirting the issues and trying to allude to them in a roundabout way when you can just be pointed and factual and get your point across much more eloquently if you speak that way. But this like nonsense, I, do we have a clip of his speech?
Yeah.
Because I think it was just absolute nonsense. And then
It
he,
was written by AI for someone who believes
yeah,
in nothing except power. And so, he hadn't actually ever really considered the issues facing Canadians.
cowardly. That's the word I was looking
Yeah.
for.
We understand that this rupture calls for more than adaptation.
Yeah, the
It
rupture.
calls for honesty about the world as it is. We are taking the sign out of the window. We know the old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just. This is the task of the middle powers. The countries that have the most to lose from a world of fortresses and a most to gain from genuine cooperation. The powerful have their power. But we have something too. The capacity to stop pretending, to name reality, to build our strength at home, and to act together. That is Canada's path. We choose it openly and confidently.
That's enough.
Yeah, we choose the middle power openly and confidently. Like, what an embarrassment to
What does
Canadians who
that
we
even
could
mean?
be we have been historically a superpower. We could unlock and unleash superpower potential.
Yeah.
And you have Prime Minister Mark Carney up on the world stage calling us a middle power at best. And this
Right.
is what causes you to cross the floor. What an absolute cowardly embarrassment to all Canadians, but especially his constituents.
Yeah. I mean, that was a speech that settled for mediocrity. You know,
Yes.
we are an energy superpower if someone would let us. Uh, World's third largest proven oil and gas reserves and more of those are becoming attainable every day. Um, Infinite, just about gas resources. Again, more of those are becoming attainable every day. 800 years of some of the cleanest burning coal in the world. We just kick it out of the ground under our feet if we were allowed to use it. Potash, which is essential in fertilizer, uranium, but we're not allowed to do anything with it besides being the agricultural breadbasket, I think, largely of the world. We're not allowed to do anything with it because of the Liberals. And so Matt Jeneroux would have me believe that he heard a speech that said, "We are going to settle for mediocrity," and thought, "Sign me up. I'm back in the game, baby." Like, it's so ridiculous. I know they offered you something, Matt. I'll find out what it is, by the way. And because your friends that you betrayed, they're turning on you. And some of them want to talk, just so you know. Let's go into Minister LeBlanc. He is saying, there's no dirty backroom deal. That speech was just so darn moving that it clutched at the heartstrings of Matt Jeneroux and drew him into our fold, which
Yes.
is unbelievable. And could just like quit, I hate to use the word, but quit gaslighting people. We're not this stupid.
Mr. Polyev is accusing your party of trying to seize majority through, quote, dirty backroom deals. Yeah. And we're wondering if you have a response to that, please.
I never am ceased to be amazed by the hypocrisy of Mr. Polyev on these issues. I was a member of Parliament when in Mr. Harper's government they stood and cheered, and I think even made her deputy leader in a Liberal MP crossed the floor to join the Conservatives. He should look in the mirror and ask himself why he's having these challenges in his caucus. It's easy to somehow make up a phrase like backroom deals. He would be the expert in that sort of stuff. If his caucus members choose to leave his caucus, he can explain that. And he also should be able to defend why they celebrated similar decisions at a different time in a different parliament.
Okay, well, now, Leona Alislev was not the greatest Conservative, and that's why she's no longer an MP. But at least when she crossed the floor, she gave examples. And I was saying this on the live stream yesterday with Stockwell Day and David Knight-Legg when I was trying to seem smart and keep up with two really brilliant guys. But in other floor crossings, there's normally a keynote issue that is the make or break, right? So, it might have been the carbon tax, could have been the GST, as was the case with Sheila Kopp. She resigned over that. With Leona Alislev, she said that it was, I think it was domestic issues and foreign affairs. And her riding was also very close. She only won it by 2 percentage points. So it wasn't like a stark betrayal of everybody in the riding. It was really close. So I'm just looking to see what it was. Oh, she cited expressed concerns on foundational challenges facing Canada, and her real issue was the mishandling of the Liberals on the economy, which is like an honest answer. And she also expressed concerns about foreign affairs and Canada's withdrawing on certain issues from the world stage or going the wrong direction on the world stage. Those are real things. Like, those are real issues. But to say your speech in Davos really got me in the feels, sign me up.
So embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have to go back 8 years to find someone who crossed the floor in the opposite direction. I mean, this is is it the third or the fourth Conservative
Yeah, we
MP
had Michael
that's
Ma,
crossed?
and then the what's his face out in the Maritimes, or at least the East Coast. I know that you Maritimers get uppity with me when I say the Maritimes, and certain provinces are not included in the Maritimes. So there's a Conservative out there who just days before crossing the floor stood up in the House of Commons and delivered a speech ripping on the Liberals. Then Michael Ma, he crossed the floor, and now Matt Jeneroux. So that's 3. Like, it's obviously something going on in the background. It's not one MP or 2 MPs on a matter of conscience or whatever who are crossing the floor, who are saying, you promised that you would get rid of the carbon tax, and then you just moved it upstream and industrialized it so people couldn't see. I'm done with you. I'm crossing the floor. Or, I'm hearing from my constituents, they're rural constituents. They don't want the gun grab. I have to listen to them. I have to cross the floor. This isn't it. Like, this just isn't it. I understand why floor crossings happen on touchstone issues. This ain't it.
No, that underwhelming AI generated hypocritical Davos speech just it's not fitting the bill. And yeah, 3+ Conservative MPs to cross the floor in less than a year. That
In a minority government.
in a minority
Yeah.
government that's only a handful of seats away from a majority government, it's fishy. Something smells here.
As a Western separatist, on a 50% of me doesn't care. Because 50% of me is like, this ain't going to be my problem in a bit. And this only helps drive separatist sentiment, get signatures on the petition. But this is just so sleazy and conniving and cynical. This is everything that people hate about politics. And it is an absolute betrayal, not only of the promises he made to his colleagues, but the people who worked their butts off to get him elected. Like that riding, it wasn't it wasn't a landslide the way that you would see, like Damien Curick's riding or Poilievre's riding or even my own riding. It's not like that. I mean, it's a urban, well-off Edmonton riding. So it wasn't close by any means. Like it would be considered a landslide in other parts of the country, but like when you've got Conservatives winning by 70%, approaching 80%, 80, what was it, 84 for Damien Curick, right? Like, so it wasn't that, but it still would be considered a landslide in other parts of the country. And people were knocked doors, fundraised, they worked really hard to get this guy elected like 90 seconds ago. And he just is like, I don't care. That Davos speech, my goodness.
It's so embarrassing that is the thing that he is clinging to as justification for this floor crossing. And I want to point out CBC's top political correspondent, Rosemary Barton's absolutely ridiculous take on all of this. This is a 30-second clip we have here.
And another election rolls around. Floor crossers don't always do that well when the time comes to be elected again. But there's also, the reality that some people in Alberta are kind of warming up to the Prime Minister because he has taken markedly different positions on issues that matter to them, whether it be energy development or climate change measures that he's backed off on. So maybe Mr. Jeneroux feels like his riding is starting to move in that direction as well.
Rosie, thank you.
Faced with growing Alberta separatism sentiment,
we're trying to leave.
This is what your top political correspondent is saying on national television, that we're all forced to subsidize through taxation. That is insane. What an insane and out of touch take. I mean, does Rosemary Barton even talk to anybody in Alberta? That is unhinged.
She's crazy. The last time that she was in Alberta, she was at, if I understand correctly, and I'm not familiar with her travel schedule, last time she was here for the Conservative Party convention, and she didn't talk to a soul. She's just sat up in her taxpayer-funded perch and then scolded people for noticing that she was in her perch, as was the case with our Tamara Leach. She didn't interact with anybody. And in fact, the party itself, Rachel Thomas, brought forward an anti-CBC policy to the convention floor, demanding that they stand on their own two cloven hooves in the in the private sector. So, I mean, I'm not sure how much she knows about Albertans, but we're quite literally trying to leave, and we are closer than ever before. And Mark Carney inspires a lot of it, like much of it, almost all of it. And the structural inequity within Confederation, and like to say that we're warming up to Mark Carney. What are you talking about? Who did you talk to? Where did you decide that was our sentiment? What's the data point, lady? Like, you just can't say that out of nowhere. You can't say like, oh, I went down to the petition signing and they said, we're signing to leave, but I don't mind what Mark Carney's doing. Like, where did you talk to these everyday Albertans ever, but especially on this issue?
Honestly, the gall to say that in front of the nation when there's so much happening sociopolitically between Alberta and Ottawa is absolutely insane. Like this is upside down, bizarro world stuff where you literally it would appear that Rosemary Barton lives in an alternative reality because this is not at all what reality is showing us currently. So
Yeah.
I don't know what she's on, but it's certainly, she needs to go out and touch some grass and maybe go to Alberta and actually speak to some Albertans, not just sit there looking pompous at a conservative convention and then leave right thereafter without actually talking to people and understanding, where they're at. This is craziness.
It's wild. We're like screaming at Confederation. We're trying to leave. We're trying to break up with you. We want a divorce. We're keeping the kids. We're leaving. And she's like,
and
no.
Our money.
And she's like, no, you still love me. You still love me. It's fine. We're happily married. No, no, we're leaving. We're divorcing you. Like she's just, as the kids say, and I can hear my kids cringing from far away, completely delulu. She's off her rocker.
Rosemary Barton's Delulu. Who would have thought?
All right. You know what? Let's hit an ad break so we stay on time. We'll come back with a message from our friends at Rumble Wallet, and we'll see how much we can get to before we have to sign off so that Tamara can get back to the things that she's supposed to be doing. Please.
Gun bans make great distractions.
Trudeau may be gone, but Carney has picked up his same rhetoric.
We will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of
Hunters, collectors, competitors, and defenders of tradition are still being targeted, while criminals run wild under Liberal policy. But we are fighting back. Join us, Canada's National Firearms Association, in defense of freedom.
You forgot your bathing suit. You really want to go for a dip. This is what we call a last resort. If your most recent electricity bill says the rate of last resort, then your rate is like the rental bathing suit. It will serve its purpose, but there are likely better options available.
All right.
All right.
Do you want to do the Rumble Wallet?
Yeah, sure. You are the host of the live stream most of the days, so I will take on some of the lead. This ad comes from Rumble Wallet, as we said. They can freeze your accounts, shut off your cards, lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks don't protect you, they control you. That's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether, you can own Tether Gold, real gold on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. This is real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold. That's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet, peer-to-peer, and outside the banking system. No permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. This wallet is yours forever. There you have it. Yeah, we saw that front and center during the Freedom Convoy in Canada, didn't we?
Right. And now Matt Jeneroux is part of the government that did that.
Yay, us.
Good job, Matt.
Thanks for that.
Good job, Matt. You're about to learn some consequences. Let's go into this video from Melanie Jolie. She's still mad about Jamil Jivani eating her lunch and making her look bad by going there and being friendly with the Americans and getting a message back to us that Donald Trump actually loves us, which is something I've never heard Mark Carney say. about us.
Yeah, or the likes of Melanie Joly, our foreign affairs minister or Ministry of Industry.
Yeah. So she's mad that he did the thing that she couldn't do, and she's still bitter. Roughly 10 days later, get over it. Anyways, let's watch.
My colleague asked a question about the reasons why Matt Jeneroux is now part of our caucus, and my answer was that, first of all, I think we have a very good plan, a plan that will create economic prosperity and that will lead to more predictability and more control in a context where the geopolitical situation is very chaotic. At the same time, I also said that Pierre Poilievre has to explain why his MP, Jivani, went to Washington to basically say that the Trump tariffs were justified, even though he is the member of parliament for Oshawa, which is the place where GM has laid off 700 workers who are in fact the victims of these tariffs. So clearly he's not capable to control his caucus or to defend Canada's interests.
What is she talking about? Jamil Jivani never said the Trump tariffs were justified. And like not a single journalist said, when did he say that? He literally never said that. And then she goes on to point to the reason that Jamil Jivani should go. And that's 700 workers were laid off in his riding. And he didn't feel like Melanie Joly was doing enough to advocate for them. And he's friends with the vice president who will likely be the next president. Why wouldn't he go to talk? He's not there to fight with them. He's there to sort it out, which is not what the Liberals have decided to do.
Yeah, he's being entirely diplomatic in his approach to our historically largest trade partner and ally. I mean, going there trying to smooth the waters because the Liberals keep dumping more gasoline on this massive dumpster fire of trade relations and trade talks, which I wouldn't even put it to be that at this current state because of the dumpster fire they've created as a result of their rhetoric and nonsense. But sending someone over there who has, if I remember correctly, because we played Jamil's message to Canadians right after, I believe, pretty much in full. And it was there was a wonderful message that he had in all of this to Canadians, which he put out directly from himself. He didn't depend on media. He didn't go through a middleman. He put out a straight talk, direct to camera video telling people where things were at, why he went down there. He already had relationships with some of these people. He went to school in the United States, so he had rapport, and he went there to utilize that, capitalize it, and start to try to mend and smooth these waters. And yeah, because he's in a riding where people are being directly affected right here and right now over something that I think could have been entirely avoided had the Liberals taken action, done something about our loosey-goosey borders, the flow of illicit drugs, unprecedented mass immigration. A year ago or plus, Trump campaigned on this stuff. He told us, he warned Canada and Mexico, get your act together or else. And now he's gone through with it. I'm not saying that the tariffs are justified, but I'm saying that none of this is surprising where we're at. And the Liberals keep feigning like shock and horror over the state of affairs. But Trump's been pretty transparent and forthcoming with it while he campaigned even before he was elected and voted in. So none of the fallout of any of this is surprising to me and shouldn't be to anyone else paying attention.
Right. And when Jamil announced that he was going, he said, they're going to call me names. They're going to call me a traitor. They're going to say that I shouldn't be doing this, but I don't care because I have to fight for Canadians and the people of his riding of Oshawa. And what exactly happened? Exactly that. Not only did they call him, basically a traitor, and they're calling him uncontrollable and that he's siding with the Americans, saying, and a complete lie, saying that he said the tariffs are justified. But they also then decided to call him ugly. and say that he's, like too ugly to be a leader. And it's like, so not only could they not attack him on the substance of what he was doing, they had to make things up and then call him ugly.
Yeah, they had to sling mud and ad hominem attacks because they have nothing else to go off of. These people are a national embarrassment.
Yeah.
And, we don't get much better from the likes of CBC, as we showed you with Miss Rosemary Barton, who resorts to much of the same. Sending someone down on their merits and their ability to effectively communicate and diplomatically try to smooth out these extremely muddied waters. What's the harm in any of that? The Liberals are just jealous because they're completely inept and couldn't do it for the better part of a year.
Right. And like, why wasn't, if we really wanted to use the language of Lent, an ecumenical trade approach with the Americans, like a fully united Canada trade approach to dealing with the Americans, why wouldn't you include a diversity of viewpoints on the trade panel, diversity of political backgrounds, and someone who I would describe as a secret weapon in all of this, like Jamil Jivani, given his close relationship with the number 2 in the United States. But that Carney's trade panel is just a bunch of crazy people and elbows up Laurentian elite boomer business people, like Arlene Dickinson, like CBC Dragon's Den.
She's so embarrassing.
Raging anti-American, elbows up, just, and again, boomers, don't write me. I'm not talking about you if you voted Conservative, just a raging elbows up boomer. Those are the people you're sending to deal with the Americans. Have you tried someone who doesn't hate them? If you wanted a united Canada approach, you would have included different people. You would have included maybe Brett Wilson. If we're digging into the old Dragon's Den well, why not take Brett Wilson? He's not crazy. Why not take Jamil Jivani? He's got a good relationship. But they didn't do that. They built out this like elbows up panel and then wonder why it doesn't work.
Just a wall of elbows up.
Yeah. Just old arthritic elbows up.
No truth to power happening there.
No.
Meanwhile, in midst of all of this and deep and growing separatist sentiment in Alberta, Premier Smith has called for respectful dialogue between those who have different views on things like independence and the separatist movement. And I think that can also be shared more widely and broadly, obviously, as the Liberals continue to bury their heads in the proverbial sand and not listen to anybody with an alternative viewpoint.
Yeah, let's watch this clip. And so petition canvassers are being harassed by these Remain Canada Federalist crazy people. CBC has weaponized other people's grandparents again, and now they're yelling at them. And this is part of the democratic process. Like, this is peaceful democratic change. Like, nothing could be more peaceful than collecting petitions to have a vote, give your fellow Albertans a say. But the other side has turned, well, they've been radicalized. Let's watch.
Rabid.
Premier, I was actually wanting to know, there's been a few instances of canvassers for the Alberta independence petition that have been harassed. And I guess I wanted to know, what would you say to the people who are doing the harassing? What would be your message to them?
Well, we have a lot of citizen petitions that are out there. We've got a number of recall campaigns going on and a couple of other citizen-initiated petitions. And I hear reports from all sides that people feel that they've been treated badly. I hope people don't do that. The whole process that we're going through is to engage in discussion. So I would ask for people who are on all sides of the issues to make sure that they're treating those who are engaging with them respectfully, even if they disagree. These are really challenging issues that we're all discussing. People feel very passionately about it, but I don't think that that's good for democracy if people don't feel that they can be out there, state their views, and have a respectful conversation about it. So whether it's a recall petition or the coal petition or the independence petition, I would hope that everybody would just conduct themselves in a way that you would expect in a democratic country that respects other people's points of view.
Right. This shouldn't be a radical idea.
Right.
The
Right.
fact that we even have to get, like, someone even has to get up on a stage and remind adults to behave like adults is insane to me. But yeah, the CBC has weaponized their platform and radicalized our boomers, the ones, not all boomers, but almost always a boomer. Those age 65 and up, right? Those are the ones still tuning in. We see the data, you see it in the reports. Those are the ones still tuning into the CBC nightly 6 p.m. news, and they're getting the likes of Rosemary Barton, who's telling them that Alberta views on Mark Carney are shifting, which could not be further from the truth. And they gobble it up. They eat it up, and then they view, the other as this like demon that needs to be vehemently denounced and like attacked in person. It's wild.
Olivia, can you just visually speaking, can you just bring up that clip again? We don't need the audio. Guys in the chat, is there a larger politician in Canada than Jason Nixon, our Minister of Assisted Living? The man is 6'8". He's a mountain of an individual. He is not even standing beside the premier. He's standing like several feet back. So just to put that in perspective, if he were standing closer, she might be close to his elbow. He's just an enormous man. I've never seen such a large man in politics, but one of the nicest guys. But it's not just CBC weaponizing and radicalizing our grandparents into terror cells down at the curling rink.
Yeah.
But it's also federalist politicians. Jason Kenney calling the Western separatists bootlickers. Other people calling them seditionists, insurrectionists, traitors. And sedition and insurrection implies violence. This is the most peaceful act of the democratic will of the people that you will ever see.
Well, and violence and illegality.
Right.
And this is all being done very much legally within the checks and balances laid out by legislation.
And actually, the petition collectors, like they call them canvassers, they are super adherent to the rules, like outrageously adherent to the rules, because they know that they will be subject to extra scrutiny. I have gone to see these little graduating classes of canvasser training, and they're so clear about the rules and how they have to follow the rules, where they can canvass, where they can't canvass, events that they can and can't canvass at, including our own. They're trying to follow the exact letter of the law because they know that at the end of the day, they will be doing the other side is going to be doing their best to undo their hard work. And as the premier rightly points out, there are other campaigns going on in this province. Now, they're all failing miserably, which brings me a little bit of glee, because you wouldn't know that if you followed the media when these campaign for recall launched. The NDP and the unions tried to organize to launch these recall campaigns to basically recall the government riding by riding, to undo the will of the people and the majority of the UCP. And they're all failing. Like, they're all failing because while they were met with fanfare from the media, there's just no momentum on the ground. But those things are treated as legitimate, but they are allowable under the exact same law that the petition collection for independence is happening. So you can just see the unfair treatment between these two different movements, one to undo a duly elected government and the other one to just say, you know what, we've had enough,
we're out.
Yeah.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith also had some remarks on immigration, and this, again, is a federal problem that continues to fall on deaf ears. Just the magnitude of the people that we are letting into this country without the infrastructure or any mechanism in place to appropriately assimilate them into Canada. And she points out that Canada is the only country in the world that has exceeded the level of population growth by introducing mass unmitigated immigration into this country in the last few years.
What are your plans in that regard?
Well, we are going to be delivering the address at 6:45 tomorrow evening. There's a number of things that we're going to address, but I think it's no secret that a part of our budget challenges, number one, is on the revenue side, that we've seen a decline in our revenues as a result of WTI trending below $60 for most of the year when we need $74. But at the same time, our expenses have been growing faster than our revenue growth. And part of that is we've had the fastest growing population in Canada, adding 600,000 new people in the last 4 years alone. I think there's only one country in the world that has exceeded the level of population growth that Canada has had. And so this clearly needs to change. This is not sustainable. So I'll have more to say about that in the address, and then we'll begin the conversation with Albertans about what needs to happen next.
Yeah, so it's not sustainable, and it hasn't been for a really long time.
And we're already dealing with, and I welcome you as long as you don't bring your politics with you, people from all across the country who see Alberta as the land of opportunity and freedom. I get it. That's why I love this place. So we have a lot of in-migration from other provinces as well, but also we are just dealing with the amount of people that Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau before him have just led into the country under false pretenses, come as a temporary foreign worker, claim refugee status, come as a foreign student from the world's largest democracy of India, and then all of a sudden claim refugee status, or just wander across the border from the United States if you're a Haitian. You can do that in Manitoba, you can do that in Ontario, you can actually do that at Pearson Airport. So there are economic ramifications to all of this. And if Quebec can take control of its own immigration, surely we can too. I think we're just as capable. And I think that is what her announcement tonight is going to be about. So I think some of it will be economic because, as she said, WTI, so that's West Texas Intermediate. That's the price of oil. She said that's low and it's causing a budgetary hole. But also, we have the economic consequences of decisions that are not ours, and maybe we need to make them ours.
Yeah, and a lot of that's coming out in some of these committee hearings recently, just the massive amount of benefits, free, right? They're quote unquote free benefits that immigrants receive depending on which immigrant avenue they came into the country, whether it be a refugee or an asylum claimant or what have you. But there are instances where these claimants can be paid more than the average Canadian salary for doing nothing and for not contributing further. And I think that absolutely there are situations where Canada can support and help people who are fleeing persecution or what have you. But the problem is that there is not proper safeguards in place to prevent exploitation and taking advantage of the kindness of Canadians that, we've historically been known for. And then the fact that the federal health program gives free health benefits to some of these people and
dental,
leaving Canadians, our seniors, especially and veterans, in the dust, and they get better dental, better optometry, eye, just general health access and benefits to cover these extra expenditures than are what's available to Canadian seniors, veterans, children alike. And the fairness of all of this in the economy and the way that Canadians are struggling as it is with record numbers at food banks. And, I could go on and on about all of this, but Canadians are saying, let's take care of our own before we just unleash and open the floodgates to people who maybe don't have the best interests of this country and no intention of working or becoming an active contributing member to our society. What are you guys doing about any of this? And the Liberals are like, let me be very clear, and then continue to say nothing and be as clear as mud. Like we have, I think this next clip of Immigration Minister Lena Diab introducing now, I can't even believe this, an express entry pathway for immigrants to become trained foreign military personnel. This is this craziness.
She's one of the dumbest ones on such a big and important file.
Mm-hmm.
She's
seventh MP in 7 years, if I remember correctly.
And she always looks like she's having some sort of seizure. And I just don't want that from an immigration minister. You can't be having a seizure on the job like constantly. She's like this at committee. She's like this in the House of Commons. We're going to see it now. Just watch.
Today, we are introducing new categories designed to meet and support Canada's evolving needs and reflect our government's determination to attract the best talent to Canada. And finally, we are creating a new category for skilled military recruits to attract highly skilled foreign military applicants. Eligible recruits with a job offer from the Canadian Armed Forces, including doctors, nurses, pilots,
of course,
can be invited to apply for permanent residence.
Pilots.
They will be subject to the same security and all military requirements. This new category will support our government's commitment to strengthen our armed forces, to defend our sovereignty, and to keep Canadians safe. Today,
we're going to depend on foreigners to defend our sovereignty? Is this not oxymoronic to anyone else?
We've got a couple of issues happening here. First of all, we definitely know we won't be attracting the Americans. Why would they leave the world's greatest military power? Like we saw what they did with Maduro, right? Like we saw that, to come to our ramshackle military. And I don't mean any criticism of our armed forces, men and women who serve. I mean, the institution itself is a lot bit decrepit, and aging, and a little bit too DEI focused. Like, do you think that you're going to attract some American warfighter? When your boss could be Pete Hegseth, or your boss could be Mark Carney. Do you think that American warfighters are going to be like, you know what? I saw what we did with Maduro. Pete Hegseth is kind of deadly, but I really care about them tampons in the bathroom. So we're not going to be attracting Americans. So that goes to the point of, who exactly are we attracting? Is it CCP fighters? We have done some military training exercises with them. In fact, that might have been the source of COVID in Canada when we came back from the military games in Wuhan.
Remember when we were training Chinese soldiers on winter warfare in Canada?
Exactly that. And then secondarily, this also speaks to an issue of recruitment and retention in the Canadian military, but we're not addressing that. We don't have enough Canadians who want to join. Why do you think that is, Lena? And it goes back to my first point, that we're decrepit, that we don't do enough for our military once they leave. We don't do enough for our military while they're there, and the military is falling apart. So maybe we fix that and we recruit more willing, capable, and able Canadians to serve in our military. But we're not doing that. So we're saying, okay, well, I guess we'll take some people from sub-Saharan Africa and hope for the best when we send them to Alert in the Northwest Territories to work on the radar system there.
Foreign interference has been repeatedly flagged as a massive concern in Canada, undermining our democracy, our institutions. And so what do the Liberals do in response to all of that? Because it's not a foreign registry. It's not
we don't have that.
It's not taking any of the commissioner's reports or recommendations on how to not even curb it, but at least quell it slightly. They decide to open up our military to foreigners to apparently defend our sovereignty. This is just more foreign interference. It's just begging for more foreign interference at the highest levels of our military. And that to me is like, okay, I always considered staying in Canada, and, I think Canada is worth fighting for. But that is massive, a massive undermining of our sovereignty, of our national security. And no one even seems to care.
You know what? Tamara, I'm going to send you some real estate listings later on today.
The new country is looking better and better. I mean, wow, I'm just shocked that that is where we're at now. I know that it's almost, we're running up against the hour.
We'll hit some chats. I know we're going to miss something in the title, but I think we got to a lot of topics that we wanted to today. Let's just hit the chats and then sign off because I know your time is tight. So we've got a chat here from J Toma 8318 says, are maid counselors paid a head price or commission on savings for every Canadian murdered? They are cold calling people now. Now, I haven't seen anything about the cold calling, but I don't think they're paid a commission. But in the Canadian healthcare system, you're paid per act. Okay. And also you should know that a lot of the funds dedicated for medical assistance in dying, let's call it what it is, just offing all the inconvenient people in our country, it comes from palliative care. So when you see these politicians saying, we care about the sick, we care about suffering, we're topping up palliative care, what they mean is we're topping up the euthanasia funds. It doesn't go to alleviating suffering. It goes to ending suffering in a very permanent and despicable way.
And Health Canada has come out and said that it's to save money because palliative care, it prolongs,
very expensive.
And it's expensive. And so in order to be prudent about spending, we'll just offer you state-sanctioned euthanasia because
don't fix the healthcare system or anything. Like, don't fix the reason everybody's suffering in a wait line. Like, it's easier to get euthanasia for the suffering caused by the knee replacement you can't get than to get the knee replacement. Like, you could, like, that is the shame of our public healthcare system.
I'll read this one. Steve S4T8I gives $20. Thanks very much. Congratulations, Sheila. Yay.
#1 bestseller.
Independence Blueprint. Yep. #1 bestseller on Amazon. I ordered my copy yesterday.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations to Sheila. There it is. Front and center, Independence Blueprint. Remind us where we can go. Obviously Amazon to order it.
Yeah.
But
or Independence Blueprint.
Link.
Yeah. IndependenceBlueprint.ca. You get your book there. Or you can come get it from me in person at any one of our Independence Tour stops, and you can find out where we are at independencetour.com. And by we, I mean Corey Morgan at the Western Standard and Tamara Leach as well. And I think Ezra's going to be at a couple of stops too.
Very nice.
Yes.
Look at that.
One more, we've got C. Baudouin, 60 gives us $5. Trump will definitely care.
Yeah. Another very relevant point to the opening of foreigners to join our military. Hello, more tariffs. Hello, more tariffs. Thank you.
All right. I guess that's a show. Tamara, I'll let you wrap up.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Sorry we had to be a little bit prudent about our timing today, but thanks so much for joining. Thanks everybody who makes sure all the links are available and clickable and ready for you so you can find us. Come back same time and place tomorrow for the roundtable, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. And until that time, stay sane and question everything.